get a little crazy in here when we do alabaster when they're trying to pass the plates. So we're going to do it again today. But before that, I have the great pleasure of introducing Les Thompson. He would come up. He's our speaker this morning, and I'm going to let him. Just got back from Zimbabwe, and I'm going to let him speak to y'all this morning and explain everything.
All right, Larry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're thrilled. Hopefully the slide will work here in a moment. And while we're waiting for that, just tell you a little about me. Some of you got a little brochure thing that's got a little bio stuff. But I'm a layman. Okay, I'm just Joe Roll like most of you. I work at a CPA firm in San Antonio, Texas. I'm an EA, which stands for Enrolled Agent. That means every day I get on the phone and talk to the IRS. And people come to my office who are new with the IRS, and I try and bail them out. And try to work out my representative and to see what happens. So, but anyway, I still work. My wife, Lane, here with me. We've been married 53 years. And we are college sweethearts, and yeah, it's been great. Well, here's our logo. 2007, when we started the project called Noah's Farm, and we call it God Project. And you'll see today why we do that. Of course, the program is in Africa, Zimbabwe to be exact, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But you see the colors of the logo, they are the colors of the flag of Zimbabwe, where we're at. At the top of the logo is, of course, the graduation cap. Because we are heavily involved in education projects in Zimbabwe. But the cool part is, the most important part, is the tassel. Christ is at the center of everything we do. And it will always be that way. Well, of course, we don't know where Zimbabwe is. You see it there, it's in the southern part of Africa. And if you go on a mission trip with me, I go every year, 2 weeks, normally end in July, first part of June, August. And I took this picture just 4 weeks ago when we were there. If I go on a mission trip with me, this is what you get to see. Okay, well, let's look a little bit closer. You see that rhino? Well, there's our van, and in front of our van is the cabin we stay in. And you see the rhino in the backyard. Every morning, 3 rhinos would walk right by our cabin and walk out into the bush, the savanna, and then at night they would walk back. And so if you look, there's no fence. This for real. And of course, if you'd like to go with me, I will take you down to Lake or to Victoria Falls, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. On the left is Zimbabwe, and on the right is Zambia. And this is the gorge just between the 2 countries there. And, well, if you really want to go on a mission trip, and you really want to have fun, you're going to zip line with me. You're going? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So now let's see how we do this. So this just happens to be my son who went with me a couple of weeks ago. And there he goes. There's crocodiles in the water down there. Let go. And you go all the way over to the other side, and then you swing back and forth. They slow down, and then they send the guy down with like an electric winch and pull you back up. And if you don't pay them, they will come get you. But that brings us to our scripture lesson lesson for this morning. Our first one is in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. And this is like the most famous missionary calling verse there is. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I, send me." Well, I'm a layman. I'm just a Joe. In January of 2007, Lane and I were driving. We live in San Antonio, and we had a friend, Jerry Nelson. You may have heard of him, concert pianist. He and his wife Rachel were with us. We drove down to Brownsville, had a couple of concerts down there, and then late Saturday night in January of 2007, we were driving back to San Antonio. Well, Jerry needed to sleep because he had a concert Sunday morning. I'm supposed to be driving, but his concerts, well, it got late and on and on and on, and now it's early in the morning and I'm tired. But I'm supposed to be driving. So what do you do when somebody's driving? You talk to them, right? I'm sorry. Well, Jerry and Rachel had just been over to Africa on a concert tour, and they met this guy named Noah Sabana, Reverend Noah Sabana. Well, they had met him, but more than that, they really learned about him. And so they were telling me this story, and I'm driving along, and God spoke to me and simply said, "Help Noah." So I just put my name in this verse. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And I said, "Here I am, send me." And he said, "Help Noah." I had never met him. I didn't know what that meant. I worked out the land. What did I do? And actually, that's the key part. When God asks you to do something, it's his plan, his program. You just follow his lead, and it'll work out. Well, so time goes by, and Lane and I go over to Africa, and we meet Noah and his wife, Margaret. They are both ordained ministers in the Church of Nazarene. Well, time goes by, and we do some water wells, and Noah tells me about the education needs over there, and we started a program of raising some cattle and to sell some cows to raise money for kids to go to school. You see, over in Africa, in Zimbabwe, if you want your kid to go to school, you have to pay. And there's no government tax program. So if you don't pay, kids don't go to school. So we started this program. We would buy some cows, and my dear friend Steve Vaughn, I think many of you now know him, and well, he used to be a pastor over at the Woodlands in Houston. And while he was there, I went over there and I told him about our need to raise money for scholarships. And he came up with this deal of name this bull. So they had a program in this church to name the bull. And the person that paid the most money or whatever got to name the bull. And what did they name him? Well, oh, sirloin. Yeah, he was all bull. And but anyway, so time goes by, and Noah invites us to come over, and we mostly go over every year, and he would take me on these. This is the good road. And at the end of the good road is a not so good road. And at the end of that is a bad road. And at the end of the bad road, we planted a church. And Noah had found this old sign out in the Thule someplace and said, "Hey, that'll work for us. We're planting a church." And here I am with the pastor of that church we're planting. Well, you see the little concrete building there little 2-room concrete building. That's the parsonage. And then on the, well, you can't quite see it so good. That's the church. Well, let's take a better look at this. Is the church. Are you guys comfortable? Everybody doing okay on your pews? Okay, your chairs? Okay. Now, when you look up, you're not going to worry about rain coming in. And, of course, you see the holes in the roof there. And then, how would you like to sit on that? And the average church service there is 3 to 4 hours long. I've been in one that was 6 hours long. We did everything in that 6 hours except marry somebody. Anyway, but the church grew, and it kept growing, and we were able to get some plastic chairs for them to sit on, and then the church kept growing, and it's been great. Well, then we were able to raise some money, and we decided, hey, because they had to keep replacing the thatch roof on this thing and whatnot, it'd blow away. So we raised some money and put up this little metal structure so they could have some church there. The way they actually do it is we put this up, and then they make bricks to fill in the walls, okay? And so the bricks don't have to be that great because they're not load-bearing, and on and on. Well, we got this up. Now we needed to put in a well. They call it a borehole. And so we raised some more money, and over in one corner of the property, we drilled. And it was a dry hole. I tell you what, it's hard to look people in the eye who've donated money to do a borehole and then we tell them, hey, it was a dry hole. I take that personally. So we raised some more money, and over in the other corner of the lot, of the parcel there, we drilled another one, and it was a dry hole. And I'm, God, we're at the end of this long road, and from the main town, this is a 2-hour drive out here, and Lord, why? Well, the chief of the local tribe, they call him the head man now. He was actually a member of the church. And he told me, he said, what he had actually done way back is he had given us this land to build on. He told me, he says, across the road, back about a quarter of a mile, there's another parcel of land. If you dig a borehole there and you hit water, he says, I'll swap you. He'll take this one back and he'll give us that. So we raised some more money and we went over there and we dug a borehole. And it was awesome. The good Lord just poured it out. In fact, I'll show you more about it in just a moment. So then we needed to move this building over to the new land. And so just literally last month, a team of 10 of us went over there and, well, we took off the roof. And then we took off the truss. And then, of course, we didn't have really any way of carrying all those iron truss, so we borrowed a truck. And, well, it worked. And now we carried it about a quarter of a mile, and we got the poles put up and put the truss up. And long days, but we got it, and this is what it looks like now. And, the good Lord just keep blessing and blessing. Well, I took this picture on this side, so you go on the other side of the building and you look back this way, this is what you see. Now look through the church, and in the back you'll see a brick building back there. That's the new parsonage. Remember the old one? This is the new one. You see, Noah said, Les, I want to build a parsonage out here in the middle of nowhere that is awesome. So people know that the Church of the Nazarene is here to stay and means business. And so we built, it is great. And you can see the solar power on there. Okay. Well, we didn't have the painting inside done yet, so we needed to paint. So we had our work and witness team just last month. We bought some paint, and we got some rollers and some brushes. And the pastor there, the pastor's only been there 4 months. He tells his people, hey, I got these people coming from America, and They're going to buy some paint and stuff for us. And if you want to come and help, now, in all seriousness, we're in the middle of nowhere. Most of these people, I doubt had ever even seen a paint bucket, much less, I'm just telling you how it is, right? But they wanted to help. They're not asking for a handout. They're asking for a hand up in the truest sense. So here we are. We're starting to paint. And then they all showed up. And many of them the teens. And oh, did they have fun with that paint. And did some get on the floor? Yep. Is that okay? Yep. Oh, yeah, they just had a good time. But when they got done, this is what it looked like. I'm standing in the living room of this parsonage, and pastor's wife is going into the kitchen. Now, you took the left, go down that hallway, this is what you would see. First room on the right is the pastor's study. Second room is the toilet. Third room is a bedroom going off in one corner. And the fourth door is a bedroom going off in another corner. The ultimate working witness, when they worked with us, oh, did we have a good time. And this is the finished product. God bless those people. Well, you see the parsonage in the background on the right. And I told you about the awesome borehole. It's so much that we got 2 water towers. Each one of these is a 5,000-liter tank. Well, the new pastor, he told his congregation, tell you what, let's do like a community kind of a garden thing. I'm going to give each one of you a parcel of land, and that you can plant anything you want. We got all the water in the world. Well, the water's over there. The garden is out this way. So we came along and we bought some blue pipe, and we put in some taps, and then we also had to run some water lines out there, and we got it all done. And you can see all the parcels there that people plant whatever they want to. And oh, when we got the water turned on, so we're giving away the water, and now we ran another pipe over to the fence, and we put a tap outside the fence. So everybody in the area could come and get free water. That's our program. We give it away. And then people come, and we invite them to church on Sunday to teach them about living water. And oh, people are coming from long distances to get water. Here's a lady with 4 5-gallon buckets in a wheelbarrow, and her daughter's behind her carrying water on top of her head. Yeah, they got it rough. Well, that was just one example of one of the churches that we planted there. When we started, Noah was the pastor of one church in the center of Zimbabwe, in a town called Gweru. There was only one Nazarene church, and that was in 2007. Today, God has blessed in a mighty way, and we planted 40 churches. That's why we call it God's project. This is a hospital that they call it Nkoba Polyclinic. And it's what's cool is to the left, over a mile or two, is Noah's church, Nkoba Church, and off to the right is another church called the Woodlands Church, and that's where Margaret preaches at. And so this hospital is kind of between the two. Well, primarily what they do here is deliver babies. So a lot of our Nazarene families or babies are born here, so we said, hey, let's help this hospital. It's a government hospital, but the government is broke. And when I mean broke, the staff, the nurses, if they get paid, they're lucky. So if
they pay for the salaries, there is zero money left over for anything else. And so anyway, so we kind of adopted this little hospital. And on average, they deliver 80 babies a month. Well, let me show you why we adopted this. Let's go inside. Actually, 2 years ago, all those people coming, they only had a couple of benches to sit on. So 2 years ago, our working witness team, we built 25 benches so people could sit on. And now if you look at the ceiling, okay, one, the ceiling's falling in. Two, the lights don't work. So our working witness team this time, we replaced all we took out the fluorescent bulbs and the fixtures, and we replaced them with LED lights. And then you see the ceiling falling in there. Well, the ceiling's falling in because on the roof, a big branch had landed on the roof, poked a hole in the roof, water was just pouring through, but they had no way of fixing it. They didn't have any money. So, because the roof leaked inside, this is above the waiting area. And so it ruined that. Well, we just couldn't, so we just had to fix it. And other rooms, the paint peeling off the ceiling, the team got together and we bought some ladders and we're scraping the ceilings. Now, this is one of the 2 delivery rooms. It has one light that hardly works. The paint's falling in. Now, ladies, can you imagine laying there on a delivery bed, looking up and the paint falling in on your face? This is just not, this is the other delivery room. And you see the delivery bed there? You'd lift up that brown mattress and underneath is a metal bed, metal frame, and it's all rust. But that's all they got. So that's what they deal with. Well, we decided that we weren't going to put up with that anymore, so the team got together. I made arrangements that we could take over those 2 delivery rooms for a week. And first thing we did is ripped out the ceilings. And then we put up a new ceiling. And then we painted the walls and totally redid it. And when we got done, this is what it looks like. There's a group of ladies over in Temple. They're elderly and they can't do much, but they want to minister some way to Noah's Farm Project. So what they do is they sew handmade blankets and quilts and whatnot for babies, and we take them over there. And you see my duffel bag there. I had 6 duffel bags that had 140 blankets and quilts. And we took them over there, and here I am giving them to the sister in charge. And oh, they happy. And of course, 140 blankets is not going to last long, but it's 140 more than they got. And she's all happy. And she told us, Les, she said, you know, we deliver on average 80 babies a month, but now we actually have done 144 one month. And it's amazing. She says that all the neighbors, you know, a lot of them don't have jobs and they stay busy. So that's a lot of babies. And so this was, when we got the delivery rooms done, this baby boy was the first baby born in the newly remodeled delivery room. And the dad is happy, happy, happy. Well, we not only fixed the ceiling and fixed some lights, we had to fix some plumbing. The pipes and the faucets were so corroded that nobody could get them undone. So we got a pipe wrench with an extension on it. And yeah, we went to town. And we fixed a bunch of the faucets and sinks. This is in the main kitchen. This is the plumbing underneath the kitchen sink. But that's all they got. So they had to kind of fix it themselves. Well, when we got done, we fixed it, and we put in a new faucet, And oh, were they happy. They got to sterilize the equipment. How do they do that? Well, they got a big pot, and they put it on a stove that they had, but on that stove only one burner worked. And so they put the pot on there and just leave it on there, and it'd take all day to heat up and to boil, but that's all they had. So we got rid of that, and we bought them a new stove. So now they put the pot on top of all 4 burners, and they got hot water quick. And oh, happy. This is the head nurse. She's happy, happy, happy. And she said, Les, hope to see you next year. And so we can do some more stuff. Well, a year ago, we were out in the bush at a church that we had just built. And while we were out there, this is a pastor of one of the 40 churches. And we were at a dedication of this church called Salem Church of the Nazarene. And this pastor, elderly fella, he loves to sing. And he came over there. Now, here we are in the middle of nowhere, Africa. Now, if you're a long-time Nazarene, you'll recognize this.
Wonders unto the Lord as we marching along, shouting it, shout it loud and long. Holiness unto the Lord now and forever.
Well, that's kind of the Nazarene theme song, been, holiness unto the Lord forever. Well, here I am just a few weeks ago with that same pastor. We met at one of the churches, the largest church in the area there. We celebrated the 10th anniversary of the founding of that church. And that's the one that Margaret pastors, Noah's wife. This past summer, I was with this lady over in, you might possibly know him, Lee and Beth Hubbard. Maybe some of you know him or heard of him. Lee passed away, and Lee was a tall, slender guy who loved to sing. And Beth told me, said, I got some of Lee's clothes. Could you take it over there and give it to somebody that is tall and slender that could use it? And I thought of this pastor, and I said, I know just the guy. So just last month, I was over there, and I gave him that sport coat and some pants.
I'm happy, very happy. Thank you for the clothes. I'm smart now. Thank you so much. May God bless you. I'm happy. May the Lord bless you, continue blessing you. I heard that you're now a grandmother, so I thank you so much. May God increase more years to you in the name of Jesus. I thank you.
So on his side there is a bunch of clothes that my wife put together in a bag for him. He has on a dark blue pair of pants right now. And he said, Les, he said, these pants are the only pants that I have that I can wear to church. Everything else I have is just rags. And he said, I'm embarrassed that I only have one pair of pants. But now he's got several, and several shirts, and a sport coat, and happy, happy, happy. Well, I got to tell you about the girl in the middle there is Pam, one of Noah's daughters. When Pam was about a year old or so, she was trying to learn to walk. And at their house, they had this, we'll call it a coffee table. And on the coffee table was a towel. And on the towel was a glass. And Pam was trying to learn to walk. So if you can envision this girl just kind of leaning on this coffee table, okay? And then her hand touched that blanket or the towel, and it slid. You see what I'm saying? The glass came off the table, landed on the floor, and shattered. Of course, she lost her balance and face first into that shattered glass. A piece of that glass went in her right eye, and all the fluid drained out. Well, ever since she's been a little kid, she goes to school, and she gets bullied because she's got a weird eye. You know, bullying affects people. You hear about, there's all kinds of bullying. And she got bullied because she had the misfortune of landing in some glass. Well, a couple of months ago, the school called Margaret and said, Margaret, your daughter is complaining of some headaches. Have you thought about taking her to an eye doctor and having her good eye checked out? And she did, and the doctor said she needs glasses in her good eye. But the doctor says, I got some good news for you. You see her bad eye? They make a thing now called a cosmetic contact lens. And we're going to put a cosmetic contact lens over her bad eye. And then we're going to get her a pair of glasses. So it's going to fix her good eye. So that's the cosmetic contact lens. So 2 weeks ago, she went back to school, and this is what she looks like now. She's got some pride in her step. Well, that brings me to scripture verse I really wanted to share with you today from Isaiah 58. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail. Where He guides, He provides. A few years ago, Noah invited me to come over there, and we were again out in the Tules, and on those good roads and bad roads. And well, anyway, a lot of times there will be like a rural school out there, and we will use that on the weekend for church. And that's what we're doing in this case. Well, Noah said, was talking to the crowd. There were several hundred people there. And Noah just stopped. And he said, is there anybody here that needs special prayer? Now, there's kids running around. There's several hundred people there. I'm sitting just to the side of the platform there. And I took this picture because when Noah said that, he just somehow directed my eyes to this lady who stood up in the middle of the crowd, but she didn't go anywhere. Then in a few minutes, the lady in the pink went over to her and brought her up to the platform. And while she was up there, Noah prayed for her. And then she went back to her seat. While Noah was praying for her, God spoke to me and said, go talk to that lady. Now, I realized at this point she was blind. That's why she didn't get up and walk up there. And I'm thinking, I don't know anything about medical stuff. What can I do for a blind lady? But God said, go talk to that lady. So the service was over, and I went over to Noah, and I said, Noah, I feel like I need to go talk to that lady. And he said, oh, it's a sad story. He said about 15 years ago, her husband died, and she was barren. And in that part of Africa, when the husband dies, his family can basically kick you out, okay, because you're not blood. you see. But in this case, her family said, or his family said, you can come live with us. Why? Because you like to take care of cows and animals and stuff like that. You know how to work a garden and on and on. So they needed her and they could use her. But over the years, she's got to where she couldn't see. And a few months ago, she went blind. And then the family then kicked her out. She had no kids, no husband, nowhere to go. She was on the street. Her brother heard about it and said, hey, you come live with us. She did. And the brother's wife said, wait a minute. I'm not going to take care of her. She's blind. She needs all this work. Well, the brother said, she's my blood. I got to take care of her. Well, his wife said, if you take her in, I'm leaving. And she left. Just a couple of weeks after that, a lady in the area heard the story, and her family had moved to South Africa to earn money to send back. So she invited Susan to come live with her. 2 weeks after that was this service. I went and talked to Susan, and after that Noah told me the story, I went and talked to her, and she said, she was just sitting there. I introduced myself. Of course, she couldn't see me, and I said I was one of the speakers today, and blah, 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 and she could speak a little bit of English. And while I'm talking to her, I looked in her eyes, and I saw 2 big white spots. And I thought to myself, I wonder if she went blind because she's got cataracts. I told her it was nice to meet her. I left. Noah and I were driving home, and I said, Noah, I said, here's a little bit of money. Take her to an eye doctor and see if by chance she's got cataracts. And he did. She did. The following year, I'm over there, and they said, Les, there's somebody who would like to see you. I gave her that little white card, and on it says first name, last name, date of birth, and she read it to me. I said, oh, thank you, Jesus. If God asks you to do something, you see, I don't know anything about medical, except that when I was 3 years old, I had my first eye surgery. When I was born, they used a forceps and it broke the muscle, and my lid hung down over the pupil. And I was going blind in that eye. And they fixed it, and I've had other surgeries since. So I've been to an eye doctor over the years a lot, and I see those pictures on the eye doctor wall about cataracts, and that's all I know. And I just thought, so what can I do for a blind lady? What can you do? You never know how God's going to use you. Well, here's Susan. I actually gave Noah some more money, and I said, take her back, get her other eye fixed, and he did, and she did, and now.
This is Susan. The lady was blind. Now she can see. Susan, how are you? Ma munofara here.
Ndinofara.
Maakuona.
Ndakuona.
Ndiratidzei Mr. Bonds vari kupi?
Ah.
Ndo Mr. Bonds. Ko maipepe ndevapi?
Ah.
Ko who is your pastor? Ndiratidzei mufundisi wenyu. Ndiwo mufundisi wenyu Felix. Ko vana vamuri kuvaona? Thank you very much. There is God in heaven. Glory to God.
That's the lady that took her in, whose family is gone. Of course, now it's a win-win for her, because now Susan can now see, and Susan's happy, and she can help with the garden and the animals that this lady has, and so it all is really working out. Well, I say that as a lead into this. This parcel of ground, actually like the top third of that, is Noah wanted to build a high school, a private Christian high school. And we needed to buy this land to put this high school on. And they wanted $28,000, and we didn't have $28,000. We raised a little bit, and the guy said, no, I want $28,000. I contacted the Church of the Nazarene, and we talked to the field strategy coordinator for that part of Africa and said, we need some money to help us buy this land. He says, I tell you what, after all these years, we have never helped Noah's farm do anything. But in this case, I want to take $10,000 of alabaster money to help us buy that land. We got the $10,000, and then God provided the rest, and we bought the land. We put in the slab for the first building, and this was our groundbreaking service. And the mayor, Noah invited Susan to come and speak, and he wanted everybody to hear the story about how we'd helped Susan. And he had her speak. The mayor of the town was there. The TV and the newspaper and the radio, everybody was there and heard the story about how Nazarenes help people. Here's the mayor challenging the town to step up like Noah's farm does. And then at the actual physical groundbreaking, the mayor said, I have never been to a groundbreaking service in my life where they've already broke ground. He said, you guys are serious people. He said, normally a mayor goes to a groundbreaking and then nothing ever really happens. But he said, you guys have already done it. We started building. The good Lord kept providing. Have I told you this is God's project? We had a borehole. You see that borehole with 2 water tanks? What does that mean? Awesome water. This is how it looks literally today. While we were there, we had the board of Noah's Farm voted to name this after Noah Samanda. We lost Noah 2 years ago to COVID, and it's been a little bit rough. But God, where He leads, where He guides, He provides. Well, we plan on opening the school a year from January. But in the meantime, we got to plant another church. So what do? We got the school, we got a building, and we planted another church. And now this picture is not from that church, people, but I just wanted to show you that this is a typical service if you went to any one of those 40. So you got to learn to dance. But the cool part is, just like your kids up here, those kids are involved. And I love that this morning. God bless you. So that today, on Sunday, a service just like that is going on in that building, probably for about 3 hours, maybe a little longer, because it easily can go 4 or 5. And here's Margaret, Noah's wife. We called the building. They use the word block. That's just a European thing. Instead of like a school building or a hall or whatnot, they use the word block. And a year ago when I was over there, they don't have anything, okay? But they wanted to tell me thank you. Of course, yeah, they tell me thank you, but I'm really the one that just comes back to America to tell you all, thank you. So the lady with the red cap there, hat, she's like the main lady of the church. She's got a pretty successful farm, and next to her is a pastor of the church. And the reason why he's got his head down, because he's laughing. Now, why is he laughing? You see, this lady's handed me this rooster, this live rooster, and I'm 2 hours from town. And what am I supposed to do with a live rooster? Well, you're supposed to be polite and all of that stuff, right? But it just blurted out. I had never been given a live rooster. It just came out. I said, what am I supposed to do with this? And the pastor, he put his head down and he goes, not my problem. Well, that was a year ago. So last month, at the 10th anniversary of the one church that we were at, Woodlands Church, they had to give me something. And again, as a thank you. What am I supposed to do with this? Well, in both cases, I took it to Margaret's house, and she raises chickens, and now she raises turkeys. And but anyway, but with this, I'll leave you. If you don't remember anything, remember that. You see, we give money to Alabaster, and 99% of the time, you don't know where it goes. You just know it goes for buildings or land. But in this case, a little bit of the money ended up in that 10,000. And because people gave to Alabaster, we now have that land. And that land is going to, as you see, the school is being built. And it's going to affect thousands of teens who will come to a Christian high school. But in the meantime, that money has already planted another church. God provides where He leads. Krista, I'll turn over to Krista, and as she comes out in the hallway there's a couple of brochures. Please take them. If you like reading God stories, you will enjoy. Thank you.
Wow. Isn't that an amazing way to know what our alabaster money does? When we do this twice a year and bring up our little boxes, especially the kids, they love collecting the alabaster money. Twice a year, bring it up here. Where does it go? Now we know. We have a plate in the back, and so anybody that wants to donate directly to Les and Noah's farm can put money right in the plate for their love offering. But Brad, and anybody that is ready with your alabaster, as Brad plays, you just go ahead and bring it on up here and put it right in. Kids, you ready?
Will you stand as we do that, and we're going to sing together. I just want to speak the